My name is Andrea Knaack, and I am a graduate student at Morningside University. I am also a teacher at Decorah Community School District. The title of my research project is The Effects of Repeated Reading on Fluency Achievement in Title I Reading Students. According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress Report, 64% of United States students in the fourth grade scored below proficiency levels on the 2015 NAEP reading assessment. While this assessment measures comprehension on grade level passages, students who are struggling to fluently read the material are also struggling to comprehend what they have read. The FastBridge assessment system relies heavily on the CBM reading measure, which is an indicator of students' reading development and also a predictor of students' performance on statewide assessments. Fountas and Pinnell benchmarking system is also used at the target school to identify if reading intervention and/or progress monitoring is needed for individual students. I chose this topic to research because when I conducted my study, I was a reading interventionist using the leveled literacy guided reading system as a main form of intervention, which did not include repeated reading as a strategy within its program. I have often wondered about the effectiveness of using repeated reading as a way to improve reading fluency scores, especially since the target school uses the FAST system to assess and monitor reading fluency progress. According to the 2016 Annual Condition of Education Report, 24% of fourth grade students in Iowa scored below the 40th percentile on the Iowa Assessment's reading tests. Reading fluency has also been found by researchers to affect each of the comprehension areas assessed on Iowa Assessment reading tests. The FAST CBM reading assessment is again used to monitor fluency progress, but is also known as a predictor of students' performance on the statewide assessments. It is suggested that repeated reading instruction be used to increase reading fluency, thus also increasing comprehension on statewide assessments. The National Reading Panel also conducted an in-depth literature review of 364 articles obtained from PsycInfo and ERIC databases on the use of repeated reading as an instructional approach. It was determined that repeated reading instruction had a positive impact on how word recognition, fluency, and comprehension at many different grade levels. Classrooms that provided students with feedback on their reading led to even greater improvements, both for struggling and on grade level readers. Some of the potential problems that have been seen with repeated reading intervention is that it is not effective for all. Students who are diagnosed with specific learning disabilities have not made the same gains as students in the general population. Also, greater results have been seen amongst students at the elementary grade levels as compared to students in the middle school and the high school. The purpose of this study was to determine the effects of repeated reading on fluency achievement in Title I reading students at the third grade level. The tool that was used was the Reading A to Z Fluency Passages, and the measurement device, the FAST CBM reading assessment. Gap in research that was seen is a lack of studies performed using the Reading A to Z passages in a repeated reading program as a method of instruction. The hypothesis of this study is the implementation of repeated reading instruction would increase participants' reading fluency scores on the FAST CBM reading assessment. Variables include the independent variable, which is the use of repeated reading instruction, and the dependent variable, which is the reading fluency as measured by FAST CBM reading assessments. Quantitative research was used to determine the impact of repeated reading instruction using the Reading A to Z passages. Possible impacts that could be seen where the results of this study can be used to guide both general education teachers and reading interventionists in determining what forms of reading instruction should be provided for students. Although there are many reading intervention programs provided, educators may also consider using passages such as the ones found on the Reading A to Z in the Reading A to Z database, which provided leveled text and are easily accessible. My work as a practitioner will also be impacted by whether or not I continue to use the Reading A to Z passages in the implementation of repeated reading as an intervention in the future. Methodology includes 3 participants, which are at the 3rd grade level. All of the participants are in different general education classrooms of similar demographics. They are identified as Title I reading students because they scored below 3rd grade level on the Fountas and Pinnell benchmarking system and below 90 words read correctly per minute on the FAST CBM reading assessment. All of the students are of varying socioeconomic status, but of similar racial background, which is all being white or Caucasian. The materials used in this project were the Reading A to Z fluency passages, colored pencils, bar graphs, and a digital timer, also the FAST CBM reading online assessment system, and passages that were included in the binder for the students to read. The procedure is an A-B multiple baseline design, with Phase A being 30 minutes of guided reading instruction, and Phase B including 15 minutes of repeated reading instruction and practice. Data analysis included progress being monitored weekly and graphed using this FAST CBM reading system, and also data being analyzed at the conclusion of the 8-week intervention of Phase B. Results confirmed that each individual participant made significant progress during the treatment phase when compared to the baseline phase in the AB multiple baseline design. All students showed growth and if you look at the tables, we have tables 1 and table 2. Both of them are the means and standard deviations for words read correctly per minute. One is in the baseline phase and table 2 is in the treatment phase. As you can see, student A's mean score rose 24% from baseline to treatment phase. Student B mean score rose 28% from baseline to treatment phase, and student C's mean score rose 26% from baseline to treatment phase. Visual inspection of the data on the line plot graphs in figures 1, 2, and figure 3. So figure 1 on the top left, figure 2 on the right, and then figure 3 on the bottom show our 3 participants, and it confirmed that higher gains were seen in the reading fluency scores for each of the participants when in the treatment phase as compared to the baseline phase. Student A gained a total of 5 words on the FAST CBM assessment system during the baseline phase and 28 words during the treatment phase. Student B gained 12 words during the baseline phase and gained 26 words during the treatment phase. And student C gained 8 words on the FAST assessment during the baseline phase and 25 words during the treatment phase. Final scores recorded in the treatment phase for all 3 of the students were recorded as being above the fall 3rd grade benchmark expectation score of 90 words read correctly per minute. These findings suggest that repeated reading instruction is an effective treatment and was responsible for the positive reading fluency gains for each participant on the FAST assessment results. Therefore, the hypothesis that the implementation of repeated reading instruction would result in an increase in students' fluency scores was supported. The implementations of this research study reinforce the importance of providing students with reading fluency instruction, such as repeated reading intervention, as a way to address deficiencies in reading assessment scores. Research also supports this by discussing the importance of repeated reading being implemented in a small group reading environment. Researchers also found that students who are able to use text that is at their instructional level are more successful in making reading fluency progress when compared to students who are attempting to read material that is above their instructional reading level. In looking at the cognitive learning theory, it supports repeated reading in 3 different areas. In reproduction, it increases the repeating of a behavior, the fluent reading, by means of putting the individual in a comfortable environment with materials, which equals a retention of the new knowledge, and fluent reading occurs with repeated practice. The observational learning includes learning from others through observation, which is what the Title I students are doing in the classroom as they listen to the teacher read the passage to them each day to model fluent reading. Also, self-efficacy is seen as the students use their newly learned knowledge, which is the miscue analysis and making corrections, and put this information into future practice. We see impact on students, teachers, and on parents as a result of this research study. It impacts our students as they can benefit from immediate feedback and multiple practice opportunities provided in the small group environment. Also, when they are able to read text that is at their instructional level, they are more successful in the reading progress. Implications for educators include that students are able to make many gains from the implementation of the repeated reading intervention when it is used in the general education classroom. This method benefits both students who are struggling and who are not struggling at varying reading levels. When general education teachers effectively use this method of instruction, they are creating a stronger link between the general education and Title I classrooms. Studies have shown that when students are taught a skill set that is used in practice in multiple environments, they are much better equipped to transfer knowledge and use those skills at different times. Parents are also able to gain valuable information from the implementation of the current study, as repeated reading practices can be implemented at home. Providing parents with specific repeated reading passages and instruction will assist families in creating and maintaining a more supportive home reading environment. Some of the limitations of this study include the small sample size, as it only had 3 students in the study. Also, all of the students were in 3rd grade. Only students who were considered to be struggling readers were included in the study, and that was due to the nature of the organization of the Title I reading program selection process. Also, the amount of time, as time limitations were put in place that were allowed for this 12-week study, so making it difficult to measure the long-term impact. Also, the environment where the instruction was provided, as it took place in a small pull-out Title I classroom, making it difficult to generalize the results to the larger education classroom. Recommendations based on this study are including additional students and classes and grade levels, which would yield additional research data. Also, additional students who are not considered to be struggling readers would yield additional data that could be more easily generalized to the larger school population. Developing a study that tracks student progress over the course of multiple grade levels and time would provide additional diagnostic information in regards to the correlation between repeated reading and fluency achievement over time. Future research should also include providing repeated reading instruction in both the general education classroom and the Title I classroom to measure the effectiveness of the intervention. The conclusion that I end with for this study was that the repeated reading intervention method may be an effective method for students who are below grade level. Additional studies are also needed to determine the effectiveness of this method. Thank you.